A real common tactic when you're building predictive models is to transform your input variables. And when I say input, I'm talking about independent or predictors. These would be things on the right side of your equation that you're gonna use to predict your target or your dependent or your predictee, the y on the left side of the equal sign. But a lot of times, if you look at your x's and you compare them to your y's, the relationship is not exactly linear. So one of the things that's often useful is to make transformations of your variables so that the predictive model will be more accurate. And there's a lot of different ways to transfer. And some of the transformations that you would use would be like a logarithmic transformation. Maybe you would take the inverse, take your x variable and just divide it into 1. Sometimes you'll square it. There's a lot of different transformations that might make sense. But one of the ways there's a lot of different ways you can, obviously you can create these transformations. Probably the most direct way and the most flexible way is within some kind of coding interface. But a lot of people want to do that in a semi-automated way, and they don't want to code. And they often get the question is, what's the best way to do these types of mass transformations within SPSS Modeler? And when I talk about mass transformations, what I really mean is taking all of your potential variables that could be an input and apply a transformation to them. So there's several different ways to do that within Modeler. What I'm going to go over today is kind of my preference or my preferred way of doing it. So I have I have data. I'm reading it in from a DB database, and this right here is going to be my target, or the variable I'm actually trying to predict, the fatality rate. And then these other variables here, most of these, not all, but most of these are potential input variables, potential independent variables that I'm going to use to try to make a prediction of this. For example, this is aggregated by a NAICS code, 4-digit NAICS code, which is just an industry type. So within this industry, what does the size of the number of employees have an impact on the fatality rate? So those are the kind of things I'm going to try to tease out of my model. All right, so I'm going to try to apply, of all these potential candidate inputs, I'm going to try to apply a transformation to all of these. All right, so once I have my data read in, I would start off with a filler node. And within the filler node, you can apply, it's kind of a built-in set of macros, is I guess how I would best describe it. But you can go in and you can apply a transformation to all of your fields. So in this case, I'm going to take all of these fields right here. These are potential, not this one right here. Whoops. These are all potential inputs to my model. All right, so then I'm going to apply the transformation always. And then the macro I was talking about is I'm going to change each one of these fields from their actual value to the log of their value. So I'm going to take the annual, when the data passes through this node, it's going to convert, in this case, annual average establishments, or the number of businesses, to the log of the number of businesses. And I can do that by just typing in log and then at field. So now these variables are no longer the number of establishments, they're actually the log of the number of establishments. And then I could take a filter node, copy and paste this up here, connect it up, and go in and rename these variables. So I can go in and say underscore ln, underscore ln, underscore ln. I actually don't want to include these because I guess I'll show you in a minute. All right, so now I just applied a log transformation to all of the variables in the data set. all the input variables in the data set. Alright, so now I'm going to copy these nodes right here, copy, paste, connect these up to my screen, and I'm going to change my transformation from the log of the field to 1 divided by at field. So I'm going to divide the field by 1. Divide the field into 1. And I would go back and change my names here to INV, INV, and then now each variable is now the n1 divided into each variable divided into 1. Okay. All right, so just apply another transformation here real quick, just to kind of double down on the point. Copy and paste. Drag these down here. I'm going to change this to at field times at field. So now I'm going to square each input variable, or potential input variable. And I would go through here. I'll change this to this Q, this Q, this Q. Okay. All right. So now I've created, like, I guess 3 different versions of my data set, and each one of these data set has the original inputs transformed. So either the natural log, the inverse, or the squared value of the input. So now I would take a merge node, drag that onto the screen, and I'm going to merge all of those data sets I created up with my original data set. And I'll join these together based on the keys. And now I've created a whole bunch of transformations in my data set. So not only do I have the original variables, but I have the log transformation of the original variables. I have the inverse of the original variables, and I have the squared value of the original variables. And that didn't take very long to do, about 5 minutes. Just using Modeler in the point-and-click GUI, as an easy way to kind of create mass transformations in your data. Now I'm ready to go in and apply each one of those transformations in a predictive model building exercise. So thank you very much.